Hi guys, today we're going to be looking into equivalent fractions and how we can know that they are equivalent. So describing equivalent fractions, these are fractions with different numerators and denominators but are equal to the same value. So if we've got an example, 4 over 20, if we have 4, it's going to give us 2 over 10. So we can say that 4 over 20 is equivalent to 2 over 10. We go ahead and reduce this fraction half in 2 to give 1 and half in 10 to give 5. So we can say that 4 over 20 is equivalent to 2 over 10 and is equivalent to 1 over 5. So if we've got another example, we've got 2 over 6. If we have 2, it's going to give us 1. If we have 6, it will give us 3. So we say that 2 over 6 is equivalent to 1 over 3. We also have another number, another fraction, 4 over 12. 4 over 12 is equivalent to 1 over 3. So if I have this, I'm going to get 2. If I have 12, I'm going to get 6. We still have the same number as we have initially. So we can say that 4 over 12 is equivalent to 2 over 6, which is also equivalent to 1 over 3. There's another method of finding equivalent fractions, knowing if fractions are the same. If I've got 1 over 2, which is a half, and I have 3 over 6, to find out if these two fractions are equivalent, I will have to multiply or cross multiply the fractions. So if I cross multiply these fractions, if it gives me the same numbers, then I'll know that the two fractions are equivalent. So if I multiply 2 and 3, 2 times 3, that will give me 6. And if I multiply 1 and 6, 1 times 6, that will also give me 6. So we say that these two fractions are equivalent. We go ahead and do another number. So if I have 1 over 4, and then I've got 3 over 12. I'll need to check if these two fractions are equivalent. So what I do is cross multiply 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is going to give me 12. And then 1 times 12 will also give me 12. So if we get the same numbers, we say that the fractions are equivalent. Another example would be 2 over 3 and then 6 over 9. We're also going to cross multiply. If it gives us the same numbers, then we know that these two fractions are equivalent. 3 times 6 will give me 18. 2 times 9 will give me 18. So just to let you know that when you put the two fractions together and they don't give you the same answer, you know that the fractions are not equivalent. Now, before we proceed to other fractions, we've got types of fractions that you need to know. The first one is a unit fraction. A unit fraction, the numerator with 1 is called a unit fraction. So you've got 1 over 2, which is a half, 1 over 4, which is a quarter. You can also have 1 over 8, and so on. Now we move to the proper fractions. Proper fractions, if the numerator value is less, than the denominator value, is called a proper fraction. So you can also have 2 over 3, and so on. Now we move to the improper fraction. The improper fraction, if the numerator value is greater than the denominator value. So if the numerator is the top number, is greater than the numerator value, then it is called an improper fraction. Now we move down to the last one, which is mixed fraction. If a fraction consists of a whole number with a proper fraction, we say that that type of fraction is mixed fraction. So we can see this 5 whole number 3 over 4, and we can see 10 and a half. We can also see 1 and 2/3. They're all examples of a mixed fraction. The next we're going to be looking at will be adding and subtracting fractions. So there are rules to adding and subtracting fractions. For adding fractions, you must have a common denominator to add the fractions. And then for subtracting, we must have a common denominator to subtract the fractions. So the first thing we do is to find the multiples of the denominators, circle the lowest common multiple, then we divide the lowest common multiple by the denominator of the first fraction, then multiply by the numerator. And then we do the same for the second fraction. And then we either add or subtract the numerators to get our answer. So if we've got this example, 4/5 plus 2 over 3. So what we're going to do is to find the lowest common multiple. So first of all, we look for multiples of 5. Multiples of 5 are those numbers in the times table. So we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then we've got multiples of 3. We've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and so on. Now we've got all the multiples of the denominators. So what we do next is to circle the lowest common multiple. And the lowest common multiple here is 15. So we've got this 15 here. So what we do, divide this 15 by 5 to give us 3, and then we multiply 3 by 4 to give us 12. Now we do for the second fraction, 15 divided by 3 will give me 5, 5 times 2 will give me 10. Now what we need to do is to add the numerators. So 12 add 10 will give me 22 over 15. Now, like I explained in our types of fractions, this is what we call the improper fraction, or we can say top heavy. Now to change this improper fraction to a mixed fraction, we're going to find out how many 15 we can get from 22. We can get only one 15 from 22, and then I've got 7 left. So I put the 7 on top and then put the 15 down. So this is your final answer. So let's do another example. A half plus a quarter. So I find the multiples of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. Multiples of 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and so on. I'm going to now circle the lowest common multiple. So the lowest common multiple here would be 4. So I put 4 down here. 4 divided by 2 will give me 2. 2 times 1 will give me 2. 4 divided by 4 will give me 1. 1 times 1 will give me 1. 2 plus 1 will give me 3 over 4. So 3 over 4 is my answer for this particular fraction. I have another example. 2 thirds take away 1 over 4. So I'm going to look for the multiples of 3. 3 is 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. And then the multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and so on. Now it's time for me to circle the lowest common multiple, which is 12. So I put 12 down here and I put 12 here. 12 divided by 3 will give me 4. 4 times 2 will give me 8. 12 divided by 4 will give me 3. 3 times 1 will give me 3. So I subtract 3 from 8. That will give me 5 over 12. So this is our final answer. So I'm going to show you another method of doing this. So if I've got 2 over 3 minus 1 over 4. So instead of looking for the lowest common multiple, what I'm going to do is multiply the first fraction by the denominator of the second fraction. So I'm multiplying the whole of 2 and 3 by 4. So if I do that, 4 times 2 will give me 8. 4 times 3 will give me 12. Now I look at the second fraction, multiply the second fraction. So multiplying the second fraction with the denominator of the first fraction. So that will give me 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. So if you take this away, you're going to get 5 over 12. So we still have the same answer as the first method that we did. So why some people don't use this method often is because sometimes you might be given big fractions and then you might be confused on how to work it out without a calculator. All right. So for this one, if you are comfortable using this method, you do it. If you're comfortable finding the lowest common multiple to work out fractions, then you do it. Okay? So in my next video, I'm going to be talking about multiplying and dividing fractions. If you understand what we've just done, like and subscribe, and I'll be making more videos. All right, bye. See you in my next video.